I'm going to call the meeting to order. We have the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Trustees, Nierdowski,
Present.
Keenly,
Present.
May,
Present.
Burns,
Present.
Supervisor Bussey.
Just so you guys know, the Connie, the assessor, will not be here tonight. She's got some sickness going through the house. And then Sue Ellen will not make it, so that's why Paul's filling in for her as the clerk. Okay, we have the roll call. Is there any public comment tonight? Does anyone in the audience have anything they want to say? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the consent agenda. This is my reports on authorization for payrolls and bills, town fund, payroll and bills for the town fund, general assistance, road and bridge department, which, as we know, is under the board now. And then my reports on social services, employment center, food pantry, youth services, adult and family counseling, transportation, and financial. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Second. Any discussion, any questions?
Who was that from?
Dale and Brian.
All right, okay, thank you.
If there's any discussion, any questions? If not, get roll call.
Trustees Nierdowski,
Aye.
Keenly,
Aye.
May,
Aye.
Burns, Supervisor Bussey.
Aye. Discussion on the, and approval of the minutes of January 2nd, 2024, the regular board meeting. You've had a chance to look through it. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any questions, any issues you want to raise over last meeting? No? Okay. Roll call.
Trustee Nierdowski,
Present.
Keenly,
Aye.
May,
Aye.
Burns, Supervisor Bussey.
Aye. There are no presentations, so we'll go to the elected officials' reports, the assessor, clerk, and supervisor. The assessor isn't here, but you have her written report. If there's any questions or issues on that, you can reach out to Connie. She said she'd be available. She can talk on the phone. She just can't be around people. So, and then the clerk's report, I believe there's a written, I didn't look for, is there a written report for Sue Ellen as well,
Yes.
too? And what is it? Yep, you can take care of that.
You didn't have one in your packet?
No, well, I did, but I didn't look at that one.
Oops.
All right, so the clerk's report, basically, there was no FOIAs, there were no filings. The others was, she's the chairman of the agency grant committee, and they completed their grant process for 2024 to 25, with about $600,000 in grants going to 30 agencies, including an emergency grant fund of $20,000. That emergency grant fund is the money we leave in excess in case something comes up that we did not anticipate when we did the original agency grant budget. If you remember, several years ago during COVID, we had an emergency grant of $40,000 to Journey from Paths to Hope to house at one of the hotels the homeless individuals for 1 month. So we've left ourselves with a little bit of room on this, $20,000. So it's really $580,000, but there's a reserve of 20 in case an emergency comes up. And she wants to thank the 6 members of the committee for their diligence in reviewing the applications and their thoroughness and decision-making process of awarding the grants. There will be some changes going forward. Some of those were suggested by one of our resident members, John Scaletti. And those are going to, we're trying to hold some of these agencies a little more accountable in terms of reporting on how they're using the funds and some sort of qualitative analysis of what is being produced as a result of these. We have a report that's due at the end of the year, but they're also going to add one in the middle of the year that she'll work with the agencies in terms of bringing something to the board that they can look at, the agency grant can look at, and if they need to have a meeting, they'll have a meeting. If not, that will help them prepare for the next year's session. Part of the problem we have had is in terms of a lack of really meaningful information coming from some of the organizations. Some are very good at it, some aren't, and we just moved to a process here that is going to allow us to better analyze the effectiveness of our grants. And Izzy's going to take the responsibility working with the chairman of the group so that the various members of the committee are better informed and so that we can hold the agencies more accountable. So I don't think she has anything else. You can ask me questions. I don't know if I'll be able to answer them, but if you have any questions, you can call her as well, too. Supervisors report.
Excuse me. Woo-hoo.
Trouble with
Not
that.
used to being on the stage
No,
here.
I know. Supervisors report, I got a number of things I just want to skim through for everybody. First of all, the Pay Leave Act that we talked about the last couple meetings, that has been implemented and is in the handbook and has been communicated to all the members of the staff. There's no issues. Everything's gone fine with that. Also, the decennial report that we're working on, which is our our annual review report, but for this year, it's the decennial that the state requires. That has pretty well been put into place. Corey, the secretary of the group, now has it pretty well together. I think the next meeting to review their draft is in March.
Yeah.
And then we want to, they'll have another meeting to do the final approval, and we want the board to review and approve it by the end of April, at the April meeting.
Okay.
Once again, this reviews all the programs and services that we provide, looks at them in terms of their efficiency and their effectiveness, and makes suggestions for new programs or programs that should be dropped. It's up to the board to take that advice, but it provides a look, objective look at it. There's members of the staff, members of the board, and residents on that committee. So that should be, April should be brought up to us. You'll get it ahead of time, but up to us to vote. In the terms of the food pantry, the standalone freezer appears to be approved, and we should get it shortly from the Chicago Food Depository. The third checkout lane is proceeding ahead, and once, I think there's a couple things they need to resolve first, but that will go into place too. We're running at almost 1,000 families a month now. In addition, because of that, we've needed more storage for food. I felt it was inappropriate just the way it was being placed here and there and everywhere. So that back room, Romero, our maintenance engineer, has cleaned it up, has painted the walls, and we've got shelving in there to store the non-perishables in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to move forward after that and put the medical closet in there, storage in there, and there may be some other things that need to be done. But that larger room in the back now is organized and cleaned up that can be used for food storage, in addition to the food storage in the room to the back and the room at the front of there. It creates more of I think, a cleaner and a more organized way to manage the foods we get in. And, we've had some really strange situations there. We had a call from a trucking company that had, I don't know how many pallets, 15 pallets of strawberries and 20 pallets of bananas, and they were refused delivery by Jewel, I think it was, because they were overripe. I think they were all overripe. No, one was the strawberries overripe, but the bananas were mixed between those that were green and one of those, and they just didn't accept them. So they called us and asked if we wanted them. We took them, and then we also called the other townships and shared with them. So, I mean, we're getting some huge input, from more and more from Myers and Walgreens and CVS and Jewel and some of those. So we're able to really feed that increased demand that we're getting on a regular basis here. Like I said before, that increased demand seems to be coming from the end of COVID benefits, from a change in demographics here in our area, and then restrictions or more restrictions on SNAP or the food stamps. It's harder to get approval for food stamps now. And then there's an underlying issue, I think. The economy looks good. Everyone talks about how great it is, but it's not as as robust, I think, as a lot of people think. In fact, our employment office is seeing a significant increase in the number of people that he's seen, and I'll get to that in a little bit. In terms of our transportation, Debbie will be retiring in April. We are interviewing replacements for her. As you know, she works in the front office, but she also has responsibility for the scheduling, or taking in the requests for buses and scheduling, which then goes to Ellen, who executes it with her team. We are looking to hire someone to replace her and have an overlap so they can learn and be familiar with it. We also want to get somebody with some IT skills, because we are considering at some point adding software that would sort of automatically, it's real-time adjustment of the routes so that the buses are more effectively utilized. So for instance, let's say all of a sudden somebody calls and says, I can't be picked up, I'm going to be having, my dialysis is going to be longer than I thought, I need to be picked up later. But rather than a bus going and parking there, the system entered in the system, and it will automatically reschedule the drivers so that to optimize their time and their effectiveness. We're not doing that right now, but that's something we're doing exploration on. So the person we hire has got to be somebody who can also handle something like that. That'll be our dispatcher. On youth services, the challenge and bike safety will be opening for the opening for the fall school semester. We had hoped to do this spring, but the construction keeps getting drug on for several reasons, but one of them is just tight labor market. They just can't get the people to do it all the time. And so we're looking at a grand opening next fall, but it will be after the school year starts, and after the challenge course starts being used, so we can get any bugs out or anything, and then have a grand opening, which will also be a grand opening for the youth services community room and their offices. So we'll do that in a combined process, in a combined fashion. Let's see here. We are still looking for a therapist in the adult and family counseling. Luann would prefer to have someone that's Spanish speaking. That's where a heavy portion of our demand is. We do have a Spanish speaking therapist now. We have also Eastern European speaking therapists, but there's increased demand on the Spanish side, speaking side. We've had a tough time finding someone, even though we offer a good salary and very good benefits. In private sector, you can make more money if you're willing to work harder at it. I mean, it's put a lot of time into it. So we're competing in a tough market for that regard. But we're still looking for a therapist. We now have a waiting list of 16, 17 people. We don't want a waiting list. We've criticized Kenneth Young in the past because they have long waiting lists, and now we've got one. And I'd like to be able to get a therapist on board to be able to pick up that slack.
George, did you see the information that she added to her report this month?
No, I didn't see that. Yeah.
She broke down some of the things as far as what you were asking about before in regards to how many people they had seen and that are now out of the therapy.
Okay.
And some various other here.
Okay, so that's in the report.
This is the, you may want to look at those, like 3 or 4 pages if you want to go over any of it.
Yeah. They have, on the waiting list, just, there's 20 on the waiting list right now. 7 are English speaking and 13 are Spanish speaking. And these are either individuals or families. A lot of times when we get the schools refer students to us, it's really becomes more of a family issue is what it is, because it's usually not just the kid, it's the family, or the dynamics in the family require. And we also find with a lot of situations too, with the therapy, when they get into the counseling, there are other issues that often we have to refer to our employment office, or we refer to the food pantry, or we refer to our social services, the GA, EA, the likes. There's usually multiple dynamics, and as we've discussed, what our real effort here is to take a holistic approach, not just address one component of the problem, but look at what the broader problem is, so that you can really solve the issue and get the person out in a functioning fashion. That's particularly true for the food pantry. You can give people, come in and get food, but why do they need the food? Do they out of a job? Is it a single mom who, or what is the situation? And so we gently, when the people register, so try to find out a little bit more about the situation, and we'll refer them if they choose to do so. And we're finding that, she's finding that as well with adult family counseling. There's more and more other issues that she's able to use our service for, in addition to referring to our grant, our agency partners. Okay. On the employment, the job board is up. They're beginning to populate it. John went out with letters to all the businesses he's worked with in the past. They're largely here in Elk Grove in the business centers. We're also put on our website advertising this on our multiple social media sites as well as our website. And we're also reaching out to Elk Grove, their business development office, to help us advertise this as well too. So we've shifted from services leading with assistance with resumes and assistance with interviewing skills, and we have now shifted more to lead with the job board. And then if you come onto the job board, you will then be also notified that we have these other services available to you. And so what we're hoping is that people who come in and look for a job and maybe find something or can't find something, John's information will be there in terms of that he can assist you, or either with resume or interview or just referrals for jobs, and hopefully they'll follow up with that. Like I said, his demand for we went through a very slow period there during COVID, and now it's ramping up.
Is the job board on the?
It's on the website. It's on the website. And right now it was populated initially just with the jobs we're looking for people here, but that's now going to expand into our business community as a whole. And I assume it'll take a little while for it to get going. But once people become familiar and know it's there, and once the businesses see some results coming out of it, I think it will do well. We are going to have one of our receptionists up front on the social services side. One of her side things, besides just the medical closet, but I believe that's who they've talked about, will then be following up every 2 weeks or so to make sure that if something hasn't been taken down, if it's been filled, to make sure that it's still good. That we don't want a lot of stuff up there that's not good. And that's filled, the job's filled. Okay, then a couple other events. We have the Community Service Day that will be coming up in a month or two. If you remember, we usually lead with the DMV and then have other groups here as well too. The Treasurer's Office, the wellness table, our passport office, the Lions Club hearing. We'll often have all this. This time the DMV has put on pause their mobile units. I'm not sure exactly why. They will be bringing them back. So we need another group to participate that's a little more high visibility or a little bit more to draw people. And what we're looking at doing is maybe having a wings drop-off here as well too, for like wings or for one of the charitable groups. That people can come in and drop off food or drop off clothes or whatever the case may be. And then we still will have the other things, the desk for passports, the desk for the Treasurer's Office. And what that is it helps people identify if they have money in the system that they've never collected, or a refund or something like that. And then the Lions with the hearing. We'll still have those groups here as well too. And we do that twice a year. We do it in spring, we do it in fall. We're also doing the shredding this spring. On the dates, Izzy maintains a calendar, and you guys can check out whenever you want that calendar, because it also has on there any presentations, let's say, that Ellen is doing at a senior center about transportation, and it also helps Mandy with our public relations side to know what we're doing when we're doing it. But Yeah, so this is, I think that at this particular stage, the shredding is twice a year with the Elk Grove Township, with the Elk Grove Village Lions in spring, which will be here, and then with Mount Prospect Lions in fall, and that will be at the Rexplex, is where we usually run that. It's interesting that most of the people coming through are your age and older. I can't say my age because I'm way up there, but your age are the 50 years old, because they're the only people with paper anymore, so.
Right.
But it's still a need. The annual meeting is April 9th, so make sure you have that calendar. Remember, that's a meeting where the electors are able to propose items for the agenda, and get a rundown from me in terms of the state of the township, and also have a vote on any other issues that come up.
Is it 7 o'clock?
Pardon?
What time is that meeting?
7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. And so that is a key component, to be honest with you, of the township governmental structure, where we're different than most government bodies. Most governmental bodies, whether it's the villages or counties, the corporate authority lies with the board. They have the final say. With the township, the final say is the elector, which is a resident with the residents. And they have significant power to bring agendas, bring issues to us, and to actually, at the meeting, vote on it and direct us that we need to do this or that, or to come and have us back off of something that we put forward. There are some things that we have to bring to them, and that's like buying property or selling property. Those things have to be taken to, there's a number of things the state requires us to take to the electorate to get their vote, their approval. There are other things they have the discretion to come and request that it be on the agenda or bring up at the annual meeting. It's not that often done, but it has been done on occasion in the past. If you're doing a good job, I guess they don't need to chase you down. But we did when we sold our 3 properties and consolidated here. We had to have a meeting to sell those properties. Then we had to have another meeting to buy this, to move into here, and there was a lot of discussion. So, all right. The last thing is that I want to kind of make you guys aware of. There is legislation. Well, there's 2 things. There's legislation going through. I think it's the House, the state legislature, the House, which would change some of the rules, laws regarding the assessor. What it would allow a township to do if this was passed, it would allow the township board to eliminate the elected assessor and make it an employee. The current assessor would have to the end of their term, but then at that point, it would become an employee. What's a little bit difficult or concerning to me is then they could decide during the next 4 years that they're going to have an elected official again. It could be used, let's say you're getting ready to put your slates up and you see that the other party has a very strong candidate for assessor. You could go and say, oh, we're going to do away with that. It's going to be an appointee or employee, and then the next time you got a strong candidate, and you say, okay, we're going to have an elected one now. So games could be played with that. And also, too, you're disenfranchising the elector, the voter. I think if you're going to do this, then, and I understand why. We have trouble finding people to run because they have to have the CAIO. That costs $2,000, $3,000, and 6 courses you got to take. And then if you don't win, you just spent that money. But I think what they're hoping for here, what I think at least should be done should be a referendum, like we did for the highway commissioner, where you can put a referendum on the ballot, and then the residents vote and decide whether they want that an elected position or a not an elected position. And in Cook County, they may go with an employee because we don't assess. We are taxpayer advocates, but we don't assess, and maybe in that case. It's not, but I still think it should be a referendum. And I've talked to Representative Mussman, and we're talking to Senator Murphy about my concerns in that regard. I know the Assessors Association is has voted against it. They're opposed to it, but they need to go out and make their case is what they need to do. Is this put forward by McConkey? Is he a state senator or state rep?
What's that?
McConkey, is he a state rep or a state senator?
I don't know.
I think he's a state senator from north of us. So this is in committee, I think a subcommittee at this particular stage, but that's out there being addressed. The last thing,
What's the motivation behind that?
the difficulty of finding people to run for assessor with the requirement of CAIO, which township cannot pay for, the individual. I suppose the party could pay for it. If they wanted to run someone, they could pay for them to take that course. But in many cases, you have to pay your own way. I mean, you sign up, you get your four required online, 2 elected, 1 online, and 1 you have to go down to Bloomington. I think it is Bloomington or Champaign. Take the course down there. You got to pay about $2,500 for the courses, and then you got to pay to go down there and hotel and stuff like that. And if you're in a situation where it's a competitive township, you could do all this and then not get elected. And so some people just aren't interested in it. Usually the people that will be interested are real estate agents or people associated, appraisers, people associated with the industry. But when Connie was talking about her situation, I had a tough time finding somebody that would maybe replace her on the slate. Now, she decided to stay on the slate, but I can understand the concerns here. I just think this has gone, I think this solution, personally, I think this solution goes beyond, it gets into an area that is fraught with potential political games and disenfranchises the voter. But it is a problem that has to be addressed. And I told Connie, why doesn't the Assessors Association sit down and brainstorm to come up with a proposal rather than just say no or just because the problem's not taken away. You got any other questions or so on that?
No.
Okay, all right.
What is the sense of the,
I don't know, it depends if if there is opposition somewhere, which downstate, it may very well be, I don't know, then it could get stuck in a subcommittee, or it'll get to a committee and somebody will oppose it because he's gonna get this or that. I mean, you have no idea. It's not like this is gonna fly right through, but it has support. And at some of the supervisors meetings I've been at, there is an interest in it. Some of the supervisors prefer not to deal with an assessor because the assessor, other than financial, is independent. I mean, you guys set the levy, you guys set the budget, you audit all their bills, but beyond that, the only thing they really have to do is sort of follow the personnel policies that we put forward and the general policy, administrative policies. But otherwise, her department is her department, and she can pretty well spend how she wants to, and so some supervisors, I'm sure, view this as a way to eliminate, have an employee that they can control instead, because an employee would be responsible to the board and the supervisors directly. I don't know if that's the right approach or not. I think that's pretty well it. Does anybody have any other questions for me on? That's it. Does anybody have any other questions for me? That's a long-winded, but I wanted to get you guys updated as much as you can. There is one more thing. The rural fire district. I thought that was all done and resolved. Now there's legislation that's being put forward by Moylan in this House and by Murphy in the Senate. This legislation was not put together with any discussion with the township or the villages who are providing the services, or the township and the villages who proceeded with the suit to make sure that they were just dissolved and that the equipment and everything went to the village so they could provide those services when they went bankrupt, which they did. Well, apparently, the Rural Fire District Board has worked with their attorney and then went to these representatives and gave them the legislation they wanted. And what the legislation says is that the members, even though they've moved out of the area, that the members of the board as of October someday will continue to be members of that board, even though they don't live in the area, that they can have meetings via Zoom or other or FaceTime or whatever the case may be, and the quorum is 2. Part of that reason is, remember, the members of that board are Jablonski's couple, Maldonado's a couple, and another gentleman. And the Jablonskis voted against accepting, the other 3 overrode them. It's the Jablonskis that are working with the attorneys and this legislation. So all they need is 2, which would be the 2 of them, most likely. And then they would then be able to make decisions. I think they would end up being the receiver for all the funds, tax funds, and how it would be spent. I think they have to get the approval of the judge, but that would be that. And then the board, the district would be officially closed by July sometime. The village has problems with that because of the issues they've had with the Jablonskis, and feel it would be inappropriate and create problems again as to how they're spending the money and when it's spent, because they're providing the services, and that money should be going to cover their costs. Right now, the residents of Mount Prospect are paying for a lot of this. So they're concerned about it, and then I agree with them. We have taken a stance as well too, with the village, that I think the village is the one who has the primary provider of services and in need of those funds to execute their job, tax dollars. But if that's not appropriate, and they don't find that Jablonski's appropriate, which we're opposed to, then, or the board appropriate, then the third party makes the most sense, that you get an independent third party to be the receiver and to manage the funds as it's being wound down. So there's a conference call on Thursday with our representatives, or elected representatives, to talk to them about our take on this, and we're just disappointed that they didn't reach out to us, to all sides of this. Right. I was surprised. They caught me by surprise. So I'm hoping that we come up with is a agreement on a third party, hire a third party, and there's attorneys and companies that do this, and we establish them as the receiver to manage the money, so it's managed properly and people are paid appropriately. Hopefully that'll be the case. And otherwise, the other part of that legislation is dissolving of the district, which is fine. It's that component about giving the board, their board, these powers in a quorum of 2, and people that board's not even living in the area, and it just seems like a little bit of gamesmanship. So that I'll keep you guys informed on that. Our big concern is just make sure that the services that the people in unemployment and the unincorporated areas that are our overall responsibility are getting the services that they need and that they deserve. And right now, that's being provided by Mount Prospect, not by the Rural District Board, which doesn't really technically exist, but doesn't really exist. Okay, any questions on that?
Has the property been transferred to Mount Prospect?
Yes. Property's been transferred over to Mount Prospect. They'll be remodeling it. They're in the process of doing that. It's going to take a while. They hired 6 new firemen, EMS firefighters. They have to be paramedics and firefighters to be at that station. They got the tanker there, and they're moving, I think, an engine there. And so you'll have a station on the far south side now of Mount Prospect, which is good for Mount Prospect, and also it'll be the same station, just better manned with better equipment. They can respond in a quicker basis with mutual support from Des Plaines Fire Department and the Elk Grove Fire Department. So this has just been one long, this is about 8 years now.
So the 2 who voted against the agreement
They're the ones
They
that,
won't let this go.
no, that's what's driving this. So, and there's a big split in the board. They used to be very cohesive, then the one gentleman stopped going to meetings because he was frustrated, and then the Maldonados voted with that third person too. And then that created a big split there too, so. And we've worked with these people before, so we're kind of aware of how this goes. So anyway, I hope we get that resolved, because this is important to those communities, particularly the manufactured home communities that are very susceptible to these types to fires and situations like that. If there are any other questions, any other discussion? If not, can I get a motion to approve the elected official reports?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, any further discussion? If not, roll call.
Trustee Narodowski,
Aye.
Trustee Keenley.
Aye.
Trustee May,
Aye.
Trustee Perns.
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. All right, so there is no correspondence, there is no old business. Under the new business, we have the tentative budget for the town fund, general assistance and sewer, and then the tentative budget for the road department. If you remember, we previously accepted, the previous meeting, we accepted the tentative budget. Today, we approved the tentative budget, and at the next meeting, you'll have a hearing prior to the meeting, a hearing, and then at that meeting, then the final budget will be approved, so next month. So it's a 3-month process. And as we go along, we can always make adjustments to the budget as we go along here. I will say right up front that we've really tried to be tight on the budget. We've had, we've expanded programs. We have been completing our new facilities here. We have brought down the reserves to a level that is still workable, but I would like to have on board a year's worth of reserves, which is about another $1 million. We're at $1 million. We'd like to get up to $1 million, $2 million, because that gives us a 1-year reserve, and that's not excessive at all. All right, so the budget for the town, let's see, the town and general assistance, let me just get that here. Town fund, if we take a look at, that's the 2024-2025 tentative budget, town fund, general assistance, and sewer. I would point the one significant new thing, well, let me see, the red, if you look on your sheet, the red is what we had in the original tentative budget that we accepted. The green are the changes that have been generated by either you gentlemen or by me and the administrator, or by staff suggestions. So this has been modified to take into consideration the issues, some of the questions that were raised, and some of the things that we realized needed to be changed. And this is a document that work goes through the 3 stages. If you'll notice on the third page of this, under social services, we did not have these. We had a placeholder for social services for the agency grants. Now they are in the document, and as I said, there's $600,000, with $20,000 of that being basically emergency fund. I think the board, the agency grant committee did a very good job. As you know, what this board ensures that the groups we're supporting are ones that we're using, our departments are using. They make sure there's not duplication, and make sure that these groups are serving Elk Grove Township residents. We have a member of the board here, the committee, John Scoletti. I don't know, John, do you have any comments that you want to put out to them about the process?
No, I think it was a great process, and it was great to have so many people collaborating on trying to make sure that these are the very best for the residents of Elk Grove Township, and make sure that the staff who work with these agencies were able to, ask the questions that need to be asked, and make sure that all the funds were being used to take care of residents of Elk Grove Township.
Great, thank you. And like I mentioned, John was very proactive in terms of recommending some changes to improve the program too, which is, I think, very helpful. So if there's, is there a motion to approve the tentative budget for town general assistance and sewer?
So moved.
Second?
Okay. Okay. Is there any discussion? Any further discussion? Once again, there could be some changes before the final, but I don't think there'll be tweaks is what there'll be. Any questions? No? Okay. I will point out on the sewer, once
Did you
again.
want to vote on that?
Yeah, well, let me just
Oh, okay.
mention.
Okay.
On the sewer, that's a pay-as-you-go. That is not tax dollars. That's not a levy. Well, is it a levy?
Right, I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
just thought you
yeah.
were going to something else.
And my point on the sewer is that while the town fund and GA, or the general assistance, and then the road and bridge, that is funded by the taxpayers' dollars. The sewers, which we shouldn't really even have, because technically, once that property was annexed by the municipalities, it should have gone over to the villages. But that is paid by residents who are using it. They have a charge. And as you know, what we're trying to do right now is bring that sewer system up to quality standards, high-quality standards, and then the board will be able to discuss whether we want to propose giving it back largely to Mount Prospect. Arlington Heights maybe have a little bit, but it is not, given the law, the existing law, we really shouldn't even have it, so. And it doesn't do anything for us. It doesn't, it's not our competency, it's under municipal ground, it's not unincorporated. I mean, the manufactured homes have septic in most cases.
When
Yeah.
will that be completed?
When was that process going to be done, the relining?
I've already talked to the engineering firm, I think it was after the last meeting or the one before that one, and he's putting some information together to get out to different companies to see if they're interested in putting, bidding it, because it will be over the threshold that we will have to put it out to bid. So he's working on that. When I got back this week, I was planning on calling to just see where they were with it.
How long,
It just depends how many linear feet we're doing and all of that. They can do it any time of the year, and they say they usually do, or they can do, and they have done for us, a lot of it during the winter time, because they don't need to, it's not a problem for them.
but they're through, I thought he said they're through like 60 or so, 70% of it.
Yeah, I think we're just down to the nubs, less than 25%, I think, or somewhere around in that range.
So another year or two. And like I said, I just, it's something that's a legacy that was left with us that should have been turned over to the villages. It relates, it's more,
Infrastructure.
it's more important to the villages because it's their residents that are on top of it. And it's they have a greater competency in it than we do. And it just takes up our time and effort, and there's no real purpose for us to be doing this. There's no real advantage. But we do it because we have it and we need a responsibility. And we want to get it up to a threshold where it's good, it's clean, and it's an easy transition. Now, we may not be here at that point, but that's the direction we're going.
George, what's the Landmeier building grant? Is that
We have a grant that Representative Mussman
that was the Muslims? Okay.
approved for us, which, by the way, today we were given a liaison, which is a very positive step with the state, a liaison to use to work with that grant. That grant was provided to support the youth services room and office, the challenge course, the pike safety, and then even if it could be used for the food storage in there too. That was provided us with a very appreciated from Representative Mussman. We don't go out and request grants very often at all. We're self-sustaining, but this was very helpful given the scope of what we were doing back there. Any other questions? If not, can I get a motion? Well, I guess I had the motion. Did I have the motion to?
We did.
Yes.
Okay, then I guess it's a roll call.
Trustees Nierdowski,
Aye.
Keenly,
Aye.
May,
Aye.
Burns, Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. Okay, the 2024-2025 tentative budget for the road department. As you know, our road department was, in a referendum 3 years ago, was abolished. At this point, we have IGAs with Mount Prospect and Elk Grove for plowing, snow plowing. Mount Prospect has indicated that they are going to annex one of the last piece of property, unincorporated property in Mount Prospect in the not-too-distant future. At that point, the IGA will be eliminated, closed. Then we'll just be working with Elk Grove Village in terms of plowing. We also, as you know, have a engineering firm that we use for road repairs. About several years ago, we did a major project to upgrade about half of the roads. We're building reserves there again to be able to do the other half. And then as time goes, there's always, given on the unincorporated roads, when they were built, they don't have the same zoning requirements. So the developers don't do any more than they have to. So there's no curbs. Most of those areas, no curbs. And so when the road is laid, it will deteriorate on the edges. So we're constantly going in and sort of fixing the edges of the roads where there's deterioration, particularly where you've got an area where there's heavy truck traffic. We are doing regular repairs. We did a small repair, if you remember, project in Branniger this fall. But we'll have to do another. For the other half, we need a more significant upgrade, and we're building reserves to do that. We also provide brush services. That's included in here. That is not required, but it's a service we've always kind of provided over the summer for residents. And I think that's appreciated. We have auctioned off almost all the equipment. What we've kept is a truck, was one of the smaller trucks with a plow, and that's used by our maintenance engineer to plow our parking lots and to be a backup in case something would go wrong somewhere with Mount Prospect, all their trucks broke down, or I don't know, whatever. Our maintenance individual, gentleman Romero, is CDL qualified, can drive the truck, and could do it. So we've retained only a little bit of the equipment. The rest has all been auctioned off, is being auctioned off. Okay, is there any questions on the road department? Okay, did I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
For a second?
Second.
Okay, once again, any further discussion? If not, roll call.
Trustee Nieradowski,
Aye.
Keenly,
Aye.
May,
Aye.
Ferns,
Aye.
Supervisor Busser.
Aye. Okay, Resolution 2024-1, 2024 Trip and Transit Grant and Service Agreement. I don't know if you guys remember that we have our own buses, but our buses have to stay within township boundaries, or at least largely within township boundaries. But there is a TRIP program which provides, for medical reasons, will provide transportation across township boundaries for a small charge. And we are in that with Pace?
Yes.
Pace.
And several other townships, and that is largely used for veterans that are going up to the VA hospitals like Great Lakes or Hines and those. That's largely what it's used for. So we're part of this. We're part of this consortium, and so this is the Trip and Transit Grant and Service Agreement. I just need approval of that agreement. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Is any further discussion? That last Exhibit A gives you a pretty good review of everything. Service area, service days and hours, what the fares are, basically $5 within the township, $10 across townships. I mean, it's very reasonable.
There's also an interesting point Trip. Put in an extra 30, I believe it was $38,000 this year, this year to do it.
I didn't see that.
Item 6, letter B, is that it, the additional contribution?
Yes, that would be it. Was it 32 or 38,000?
43,125.
Oh, 43,000, okay.
Oh, so that's a
43,125.
That's a benefit for us.
Yeah.
Pace is contributing an additional $43,000, which helps, because the costs obviously have been accelerating here. Okay. Do we have a motion to?
Yeah,
We did.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
No.
Not roll call?
Trustee Nerdowski,
Aye.
Keenly,
Aye.
May,
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. I'm having trouble remembering if we've had a motion or not.
We'll remind you.
I don't know. I better get Privilege in.
We won't be able to.
Were you going to say something about
Oh, I can say it at the end here.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all the new business. Any discussion or comments for the trustees? Oh, no, I'm sorry, we got to do the approval of the 2024 annual town meeting. You have that in front of you. As I discussed before, this is the annual meeting we have on April 9th. That's a sort of a bare bones agenda. The residents or elector can propose agenda items. I think it's 10 residents have to put forward an agenda item, and there's a window where they can complete it. I'm not sure when actually the final deadline is, but, so there may be items added, but that is the core meeting, but items can be added by the electorate. Okay, it's pretty standard. That's what we usually have. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Or second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, roll call.
Trustee Nerdowski,
Aye.
Keenly,
Aye.
May,
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Supervisor Bussie.
Aye. And we're going to have, is there any comments from any of the trustees? Any other issues or things you want to address? Okay, after this meeting, I'm going to go back and walk through the back area there. If anyone wants to walk with me briefly, just to check there's some work was done the last couple days. And I'd like to kind of see that. Also, I forgot one mention, for the transportation, one of the problems we run into is we don't know who is still a current resident that would use the transportation. So what we've done is we're going to do a birthday card that goes out on the individual's birthday, and if it comes back, we know they're not there anymore. It's a way for us to manage our transportation lists in terms of outreach and other issues. So this is not a bad little idea. I thought it was a good idea that Izzy came up with, that we can, happy birthday, and then also it allows us to maintain an updated transportation list. So if you want to look at that, you can. Mandy put that together for us. Okay, if there's no other discussion or comments, then there's no need for an executive session. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
All
all
in
in,
a second?
May.
Okay,
Supposed
so
to be,
Dale-
supposed to be Keenly, though.
No, he's just, most senior is supposed
I know, I
to
thought the second guy
make
did.
the motion.
All
Really?
right, you guys are breaking tradition.
So it was who? Dale and?
Brian
and
was kind of jumping all over the second one.
Was that Dale and Brian, or who was it?
Yeah, Dale and Brian.
Trying to relieve.
All right,
I won't do it again.
You're doing it for
all
me
in
now.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No. Meeting is adjourned.